Well, good morning and welcome to Pennington, New Jersey. This is about 35 minutes from the shop. It's the 31st of August, 2020. We are on our way to a customer's house for the second time. The first time we were here, we hung a television on the wall, and now she wants all the wires hidden and an electrical outlet put up behind her television. So as long as we can get some shots for this for you, we will record this. If you're listening to me talk right now, then we obviously got those shots that we needed. So let's get right into it, right after this. Okay, you'll notice the blue tape I put on the wall. That represents where the TV is currently hanging, the space it occupies on the wall. Behind the TV, you'll see a blue piece of tape. That's going to represent, or does represent, where the AC outlet's going to go. This way, once I remove the television from the wall, I know where everything has to be and where everything hangs. So this way I can make sure it's not visible when you're standing in front of the television or off a little bit to the side. And it all begins with taking the baseboard off. So what you see me doing here is scoring the caulk line. This way when I remove the baseboard, it doesn't pull the paint off the wall at the same time. So under normal circumstances, inside of a wall, you're going to have a bottom plate, which is going to be a 2x4. So I'm tracing a 2x4 along here to indicate where the top of that 2x4 will be inside the wall. What I didn't know was this isn't a normal wall. This has actually got an LVL beam behind it, and I didn't know it. So I run into some trouble with it, but normally what you would do is follow along, tracing this across, because you know you have to cut above that line to avoid the 2x4. Wait till you see what I'm in store for. You're probably thinking, didn't I just watch you do this? But now you're doing it with two 2x4s. Well, the reason I'm doing this is because I just want a nice straight line across there. A professional job is a neat job, even if you can't see the final results of it. So I'm going to end up cutting both of those lines out and removing the drywall between them. And I just want it to be a nice straight cut across there. Alright, so I guess to be fair, I should say Kitana is cutting the drywall out between the two lines. This is a multi-tool with a drywall blade, and it's kind of the same tool that they use to remove a cast. If you have like a broken limb or something and you're all healed up, when it's time to get the cast off, this is what they use. And she's removing that so we can run the wire behind it. But we have a surprise that we weren't expecting. Oh God, what's the best way to tell you this? Alright, so you see me using the Sawzall here, and I'm cutting into what you think is the LVL beam. You can cut holes in an LVL beam to run wires, plumbing, things of that nature. Take a look at this picture up here on the top left. There's an HVAC guy running ductwork through like 12-inch holes. This particular LVL beam that's behind this wall, for some reason it has a piece of 3/4-inch plywood affixed to the right-hand side of it. That's really all I'm cutting through. Once I cut through here and chisel out some of this plywood, I'm not even actually going to reach the true LVL beam because I'm not going to cut that deep. You shouldn't probably do this unless you know exactly what you're dealing with. You should talk to a structural engineer or talk to a builder, talk to some kind of a contractor that can come out and verify whether or not you're going to damage some structural component of your home. I know for a fact that I'm safe here, so I'm moving forward with the project. Alright, so I didn't put this video together because I wanted to show you how I got surprised with an LVL beam, but it's good education for you. Before starting a project like this, if you have a sunken living room, as you can see, there's a step down into this one, and the rest of your house is at the higher elevation, we'll say, you know, that step up there, you should go in the basement and look and see what kind of beams you have. If you have, you know, 2x10s or 2x12s running across there, you're golden. If you have LVL beams, there's a good chance that the LVL beam in the sunken part of your living room or dining room or whatever room it is could be the same as this one. And you might want to change your ideas of where you want to put your wires or how you want to run them. Under normal circumstances, you're going to run into a 2x4 as a bottom plate, and you're going to see your studs running up the wall instead of that piece of plywood in there. You could take a 1/2-inch drill bit, drill right through each and every one of those studs, and run your wire through them. Then the piece of drywall that you cut out, because it was such a nice, neat piece of drywall, you can lay it back in there and use sheetrock screws and screw it right to the studs that you see in the wall. And then when you cover it again with your baseboard, you've got a wire running through your wall and absolutely no drywall repair. This particular job is going to require drywall repair because we have to go up to the outlet on the left there, and the LVL beam's in the way. In your case, if you have a 2x4 studded wall, you're not going to have a 2x4 in the way because you're going to drill through it for your wire, and then your wire will run right up the cavity between the studs. We're going to need to remove the outlet, so we're going to plug this tester in. This is a transmitter. I have to plug it into the bottom one because this switch, the top one, is switched for a lamp. It's controlled by a switch. The bottom one has got constant power. So you plug that in. It's got that little red light on it letting you know that it's energized. And then you have to go down to the breaker box with the receiver. And what the receiver is going to do is it's going to determine which one of the breakers actually goes to that outlet, because the transmitter and the receiver will talk to each other. So we got 200 amp service here, and you turn this thing on and you have to go around twice. It'll tell you up is either to the left or right there, which means you have to hold it orientated either way that you want. And you scan up the sides of the breakers and down the other side where the breakers are on the right. And you might get a few beeps along the way. Just go ahead and ignore them. You have to do it a second time. And when you go the second time, what's going to happen is it's going to light up with an arrow and telling you this is the breaker. You shut that off. Then you go upstairs, and as long as that red light on the transmitter isn't illuminated, then you know there's no longer power to the outlet and it's safe to work on. I'm actually hoping I get lucky, but I know it's not going to happen. I'm cutting out a small little square staying below the paint line so that the baseboard will still hide this. And of course, there's still plywood back there. So I know that I'm going to have to cut up into the painted section of the wall, and now drywall repair is going to be necessary. This makes the project more expensive, and I do talk to the customer about it before moving forward. I'm going to draw with my finger on the wall showing you what I need to cut out here. It's going to go up, over, and down right in that location. About 6 inches up into the painted area, because that is where the hollow spot between the studs should be. I'm going to take a quick picture of this. I'm going to bring it over to the homeowner so she don't have to get low to the floor and explain the job. So again, I'm using the multi-tool to cut out the drywall. You can see that the blade is bottoming out against the plywood that's behind there. And you can tell that because as I'm pushing the blade in, it stops when it gets to a certain depth. But as you're cutting this hole, once you get to the spot where the top of the LVL beam ends, what will end up happening is the multi-tool will plunge directly into the wall. And that's how you know you're now in the cavity that is above it. Now watch this blade, see? It plunged. And I'm going to go a little bit higher here, and as we get to above the LVL beam there, the blade bottoms out and drops into the cavity. So that's where you can cut across it to get above the LVL beam, and it gives you just enough room to sneak a wire out of there. Fortunately for me, since I had enough trouble already, this is a plastic electric box, and they come with 4 knockouts, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and I'm just going to knock one out with a regular slotted screwdriver, and I'll be able to run my wire down through that hole in the box and come out into the area where I remove the drywall. But before I can do that, I need to prepare that area to accept the wire, and I'll show you how we do that. So this handheld router is set to 1/8 of an inch beyond the drywall. So the drywall is 1/2 inch thick, so this is set to 5/8 of an inch, and I'm making a pass from the top to the bottom, putting a slight groove into the beam behind it. What I will do next is I will raise the blade another 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and I will take a second pass, and I'll keep doing this until the groove that I'm making in that beam is deep enough to accept the wire that's going to be coming from the box down past the beam into that cavity, that horizontal cavity that's going to take us over to below the television. Go in there. Okay, so now we're getting ready to cut the holes. This mark on the wall that you see right here represents the left side of where I want the electric box, as well as the box that's going to carry the audio and visual cables down through the wall. So I'm going to take a level and I'm going to make it plumb to that line, and this way I can draw a straight line that I know is plumb with the way the television is going to hang for both boxes. Now I can remove the tape. Now you can go spend money on little gauges that you can put on the wall, and you can buy attachments that go into your multi-tool that will cut the box hole out for you perfectly. But honestly, all you got to do is stick this box right on that line, trace it out, and cut it out with your multi-tool. It takes you an extra 15 to 20 seconds, and it saves you $50 for the specialized tool. Now we're going to make 2 of them, so I'm tracing out 2 locations. One is for the audio and visual cables, and one of them is for the AC, for the actual power that will power the television. I should also mention that you can't just draw these arbitrarily anywhere you want on the wall. I ran a stud finder along the wall to make sure that these cutouts are going to be in the cavity between studs. You don't want to hit a stud. We have to draw a level line over so I know where the top of the LVL beam will be located in the wall. We're going to cut another box for the audio-visual cables to come out of the wall so that they can be hooked to the devices, and that needs to be above that beam. We also need to make sure that we can produce the same groove that we made on the left-hand side so that our AC wire can run down through that groove into that horizontal cutout that we made first. that plumb. Now we're going to make a line right here and right there. Maybe I'm going to stick this on here like this. And we're going to draw that up. Want to play cards? This here device is called a MagnaPull, and it's a very strong magnet. So don't have your cell phone in your pocket or your credit cards or anything else, because if you like them, you won't have them anymore. This magnet is so strong, it'll wipe your device, it'll erase your credit cards. Keep them far away from here. So what I'm doing is I'm using electrical tape, and I am taping the Romex to the fish tape. I guess you call it a fish tape. It's a magnetic bullet with a bendable end on it. I'm feeding it up through there, and then there's this roller that will drag the magnet up the wall. You still got to feed it in, but it will drag it up the wall so that you don't have to try to fish down. You can go the other direction if you want to, and you can fish down if you so desire, but this makes it so much easier. If there's a fire stop in the wall, you'll be able to hear it and take appropriate action. And as you roll this up to the hole, it pops it out the hole, sticking to the magnet roller, and you pull it out. It's as easy as that. This is a great tool to have in your truck if you do a lot of work like this. I'll put a link in the description where you can get it. It's a little bit pricey, but it's really good. Make sure that we have enough. Go down through there, over through here. You see how this side, these two are connected by this piece of gold?
Yeah.
This side, that gold's missing,
Yeah.
which means this switch, the bottom one has power all the time, the top is switched from somewhere.
Okay.
So they're not the same, even though it's the same outlet, it's not the same outlet. They get different power sources. So something probably switches that on. So I want to connect the black to the black one, because I'm pretty sure that's the one where the power comes in at, right?
Yeah.
Red is usually like an alternate. Now there's another way besides using those screws. These holes in the back you can push the wires into.
Okay.
So you can take this black wire and you can push it in and it locks right in.
I heard the click.
Right. And we're going to do the same thing on the ground, on the commons lead. We're going to push it in the back
Never mind.
and lock it in just like that.
Okay. What do you do with the ground one?
Ground, I'm just going to go around the ground wire with it.
Okay.
I'm just taking power from it and putting it to the other one.
Oh, okay. What that does.
You want to make sure that your grounds are all back out of the way.
And I'm going to put that back in place. So now that this is attached to that, it's getting that power?
Yep.
Okay. Does the,
Do it in the back of here. We're going to pop one of these open like that. And I like to twist and remove these. this wire through here. This is called an old work box because it has these tabs. So that goes up into there like that. And then when we tighten these, those tabs will fly up and back. Grab the back of the drywall, making the box secure. Like so. And you put this in here. That works on the same principle. You go until you feel it hit the drywall. When it hits, let go. Don't tighten it in. So see how that tab went down?
Yeah.
See, the tabs are down and up, so it's nice and secure in there. Now I'm going to put another one down here. So this has a scoop on the back for wires. So the bottom one will face up when it goes in, so the wires can come down and come out. Top one has to go this way, so wires can go in and go down. And that's how they can fish wires from the wall. So if they ever need to change their HDMI cable or something, they run it down through there and bring it out the bottom. Just like that. Put this one on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching that video. I hope you learned something from it. I wanted to let you all know that we're building a studio. We don't really know much about building studios, so it's going to be a trial and error thing, and once we get it right, we'll start sharing better content than we're sharing now. This here's a green screen that's behind me, and it allows me to change backgrounds and have things appear behind me like it is on the news, like this. And you get to see New York City. And you get to see a place I used to work. So bear with us while we build this new studio and try to make better content for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.